Evolutionary psychology tells us this hunger isn't random. It's wired into your DNA, a vestige of ancestral drives where being chosen by a mate signaled survival, status, and belonging. But here's the twist. What looks like raw desire, that magnetic pull toward intimacy, is often a cleverly disguised craving for validation, for being seen as enough, for being cherished in your rawest, most unguarded state. This isn't about the physical act, let's call it connection, that subtle spark that YouTube might miss, but you know exactly what I mean. Connection isn't just bodies colliding, it's a portal, a conduit where energies entwine. Neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, would frame this as an exchange of representational systems, your internal map of reality merging with hers, creating a shared emotional state. But here's where it gets dicey. When you step into that space without presence, without anchoring yourself in conscious intent, you're not just sharing energy, you're risking a psychic hemorrhage. Every touch, every glance carries subtext, a silent dialogue between your conscious mind and the shadow Jung warned us about, that hidden reservoir of unhealed wounds and unspoken fears. Let's get real for a second. How many of you have walked away from an encounter feeling hollow, like you left a piece of yourself behind? That fatigue isn't just physical. It's your soul whispering that you've traded something sacred for a fleeting hit of approval. Evolutionary psychology points to this as a mismatch. Your ancient brain, wired to seek connection for survival, is chasing a dopamine rush in a world where validation is a cheap currency. You're not just seeking her body, you're chasing the echo of being chosen, of mattering, of silencing that primal fear of rejection that's been coded into men since the dawn of time. Jung saw this dance as more than instinct. It's a bridge between worlds, the conscious and the unconscious. He said every act of intimacy unveils more than you intend, like an oracle revealing truths you didn't dare face. Your desire isn't born in the flesh, it's forged in the psyche, rooted in archetypes that whisper of wholeness and healing. When you surrender to connection, you're not just revealing your body, you're laying bare the insecurities you've masked with bravado, the silent scars of a boy who just wanted to be loved without proving his worth. That's the moment where the mask of the stoic warrior cracks and the vulnerable child within peeks through. Terrifying? Hell yes, but it's also where transformation begins. Here's the hook that'll keep you locked in. Most men think connection is about technique, about mastering moves to impress her, to prove you're enough. But that's a trap, a performance rooted in what NLP calls an external locus of control, seeking validation from outside yourself. True connection, the kind that sets your soul ablaze, is a spiritual act. It's about accessing the anima, Jung's term for the feminine essence within every man, that tender, intuitive side the world taught you to bury. When you embrace that, you're not just touching her, you're touching the exiled parts of yourself, the ones you locked away to survive a world that demands you be unbreakable. But let's not sugarcoat this. Not every connection is sacred. Some women carry chaos in their energy, unresolved trauma, emotional turbulence, a void that can swallow your clarity whole. Evolutionary psychology warns us of assortative mating gone wrong. You're drawn to partners who mirror your unhealed wounds, mistaking intensity for love. In NLP terms, this is a negative anchor, a trigger that binds you to cycles of depletion. You merge with her, thinking it's passion, but you're engaging her demons, her unresolved baggage. And if you're not awake, that fusion becomes contamination. You walk away, drained, confused, wondering why you feel like a husk of yourself. That's not pleasure. That's your life force leaking through an open wound. Here's a question to jolt you awake. How many times have you given yourself to someone, thinking it was just desire, only to leave feeling more lost than before? Be honest. That sting of truth is your psyche, screaming for you to wake up. Connection isn't a game, it's a ritual, a sacred exchange, where your choices either rebuild you or bury you deeper in your own abyss. Jung's shadow looms large here. The parts of you you've denied, your fear of weakness, your thirst for approval, don't just vanish. they steer your life, masquerading as fate. Every relationship, every intimate moment becomes a stage where your unconscious plays out its unresolved dramas, a loop you'll keep repeating until you face it head on. Now, let's talk about the trap of projection. You meet someone, and suddenly she's everything. Lover, savior, the answer to your soul's ache. That's not love. It's what Jung called projection, casting your inner wounds onto another, expecting them to heal what you haven't faced. Evolutionary psychology backs this up. We're wired to seek partners who feel familiar, who echo our earliest attachments, often to our detriment. In NLP, this is a distorted perceptual filter. You're not seeing her, you're seeing a mirage of your own unmet needs. When she inevitably falters, the pedestal crumbles, and desire sours into resentment. Why? Because you were chasing a phantom, not a person. The way out? It starts with brutal self-awareness. Stop begging for validation. That external hit, her approval, her touch, will never fill the void. True wholeness comes from what Jung called individuation, the lifelong journey of integrating your shadow, of choosing yourself first. In NLP terms, this is reframing your internal state, shifting from a scarcity mindset to one of abundance. When you anchor your worth within, desire transforms. It's no longer a desperate plea, it becomes an invitation, a dance of souls where you bring your fullness, not your lack. Imagine this: connection as a sacred rite, where your body becomes an oracle, reflecting truths you've long ignored. Every touch, every pause becomes a mirror, revealing the man you are when no one's watching. That's where healing begins, not in chasing her, but in meeting yourself. It's not about perfection, it's about presence, raw and unfiltered. When you show up fully, desire ceases to be a transaction and becomes a communion, a moment where two souls meet without pretense. So, here's the challenge, brothers. Will you keep handing your energy to those who only want a piece of you, or will you demand a connection worthy of your soul? This isn't just about intimacy, it's about who you are when the masks fall away. If this hit you hard, drop a comment below with the one truth that shook you to your core. Share this with the men still sleepwalking through their lives. Hit that subscribe button, because we're not just talking about connection. We're talking about awakening the man you were always meant to be. The choice is yours. Will you keep playing the game, or will you step into the